Hello, everyone. We are the Compassion Project, and we want to thank you, everyone, for being with us today. We know that in 2020, it's been a roller coaster of a year, and we want to start by saying sorry to anyone that has suffered this year. We want to let them know that it's okay and that from trauma we arise. We are still here, and we're still here for a reason. Today, we will open our eyes and our heart. We will allow ourselves to be vulnerable, have no shame, and have empathy.
Childhood trauma. What is it? It's something that we face daily. Some symptoms of it, according to the author Peter Levine in his book Healing Trauma, are the following: hyperarousal, constriction, dissociation or denial, hypervigilance, exaggerated emotional and startled responses, nightmares and night terrors, difficulty sleeping, shame and lack of self-worth, reduced ability to deal with stress, panic attacks, anxiety and phobias, avoidance behavior. Excessiveness, shyness, self-mutilation, fear of dying or having a shortened life, inability to make commitments, chronic fatigue, and very low physical energy. Asthma, chronic pain, immune system problems, digestive problems, skin disorders, depression, and feelings of impending doom, feelings of detachment, reduced ability to form plans.
Please join us in this journey of self-discoverment and no shame. We are here to recognize our trauma symptoms, be aware of them, and how they don't shape our identity. Now, before we start, we want to show you a small video. Please make sure that you have something to write on while you watch it. The purpose is to see if we're going to form a circle. The woman from the video will be asking situational questions. If you've ever been into that position, make sure you do a small line like this. And as she continues, you can mark every time you feel like you've been into that position. The purpose in the end is to see if we're going to form a circle, with all the situations we've ever been in. Last but not least, remember that this is a space of no shame and no judgment.
It's time now, everyone. We're gonna do the Compassion Trauma Circle. Is everyone ready to face their past with compassion? Is that a yes? Yeah! While you were growing up, during your first 18 years of life, if a parent or other adult in the household often or very often would swear at you, insult you, put you down, or humiliate you, step inside the circle. If a parent or other adult in the household often or very often pushed, grabbed, slapped, or threw something at you, step inside the circle. If a parent or other adult in the household often or very often ever hit you so hard that you had marks or were injured, step inside the circle. If you often felt that no one in your family loved you or thought you were important or special, step inside the circle. If your family lived in extreme poverty, step inside the circle. Step inside the circle. Step inside the circle. Step inside the circle.
Why should we care? Why should we step inside the circle? What will happen to us today is completely unknown. Whatever happens, our only commitment is to awaken our heart. Can you make sure that no criminal will ever exist? No, but we can make sure to predict the preventable. Isn't that what our degree is about? We can change minds by changing hearts, and we can change hearts by changing minds, and we can change the world one heart and one mind at a time.
All activities should be done with one intention. That intention is to realize our connection with all beings. We are creators. Don't you want to be part of the generation of parents that is aware of which type of world we want to bring life to? What your parents didn't know was that by ignoring their own healing, they were setting up a childhood for you that you will need to heal later. They also didn't know that they were passing on their pain into you every time that they refused to look at their own pain and instead project it into you by mistreating you, abusing you, ignoring you, mistreating you, dismissing you, and more. Someone who can receive unconditional love from their parents, no matter how much they try to be a golden child, develops a sense of shame. I know everyone here has experienced this at one point in their life. This shame later manifests in the body in different types of forms, like for example depression, a sensation of pressure in the chest, a sensation of burning sensation in the ears, and more. The results are addictions, sometimes pushing people away, becoming utterly independent, narcissism, self-isolation, and so many more.
I'm so good. Good to see you. How are you? Amen. Noel, good to see you. Welcome. I was abused as a young girl. I was beaten by my mother. I was verbally abused by my mother. I was sexually abused by another man. My father was an alcoholic. My mother was a rageaholic. I've driven drunk. I've sold drugs. I was a juvenile delinquent. Probably my story is similar to most of your stories in here. I'm white and I'm female and nothing happened to me. So, I got a get out of jail free card. And so I'm here now because I see myself in every one of you.
I'm a traumatized child, raised by a traumatized child. My mother was traumatized as well as her parents.
Like he said, we wasn't born in the world of being evil people.
Child.
Introducing the term ACE, which stands for Adverse Childhood Experience, also known as childhood trauma, we will explain how childhood trauma affects a person. This term originated from the study created at Kaiser by Dr. Vincent Felitti and Robert Anda of the Centers for Disease Control. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, childhood trauma is defined by the experience of an event by a child that it's emotionally painful or distressful, and that it often results in lasting mental and health effects. According to the CDC, ACEs and associated conditions such as living in an under-resourced or segregated neighborhood, constantly moving from place to another, food insecurity, or so many others can cause toxic stress. Toxic stress and ACEs can change brain development and affect cognitive functions, like for example, attention, decision-making, and response to stress. If each one of us would take the ACE quiz right now and become aware of our personal experiences related to childhood trauma, everything would be different. With the ACE score, each person can know what is the risk for developing a risky behavior or violent behavior. We are all born into families and societies that are constantly telling us in negative and positive ways. We don't get to choose the story we will live in when we are put into a family. And adverse childhood experiences are situations that are exterior to a just born baby that comes into a new family. For us, the ones who are watching this, we belong to a privileged society that gives us enough luck in this world to be able to change these stories after, and not to stay in the type of situations that our families necessarily put us into. Some people don't have this opportunity, and as a consequence, their traumatic experiences continue trapping them into this cycle of violence. Not everyone has a choice. As neurologist and writer Sam Harris states in his book in 2011 called Free Will, he sets out to bring down the fantasy of conscious choice. He believes that there are not such things as free will. According to Harris, we should acknowledge the fact that even the worst criminals, murderers, or psychopaths, for example, are in a sense unlucky. They didn't choose their genes, they didn't choose their parents, they didn't make their brains, yet their brains are the source of their intentions and behaviors. In the deep sense, their crimes are not their fault. I cannot take credit for the fact that I don't have the soul or the brain of a psychopath. If I had truly been in Charles Manson's shoes, for example, on December 13 of 1971, and if I had his same genes and his experience and an identical brain and an identical state at that moment, I would have acted exactly as he did. There is simply no intellectually respectable position from which to deny this. The role of luck, therefore, appears decisive. Recognizing this, we can dispassionately consider how to manage offenders in order to rehabilitate them, protect society, and reduce future offending. This makes us analyze how it's a matter of luck, not being born in some specific situations. If you would have the same genes, parents, brain, circumstances as a criminal, we would end up making the same decision process. With this, I encourage you to realize and open your eyes on how free will is something that children with trauma won't have in their life after. Let's be part of the solution and not be part of the problem.
Every 10 seconds, a report of child abuse is filed. More than 400,000 children are enrolled in foster care in the United States. The average age is from 8 until they are conscious enough to understand what's going on in their houses. Most of them are boys. The correlation between the foster care with the ACEs is very high. It is affirmed that they are 7 times more likely to have a parent in jail or have suffered from abusive or crime-active environment. Correlating it with juvenile delinquency shows that 24% of the children in the system end up in juvenile detention centers. 2.5 times they get involved in justice systems. 90% of them have passed about 5 times or more through different foster house families and group homes. And by age of 17, 15 of them have gone to correctional facilities. In terms of overcrowded prisons, in the US, over 2.2 million of people go to prison, being the largest population in jail, and at least 5 out of top 10 causes of death are associated with the ACEs. Yet preventing it would mean a 44% less of adulthood depression. Foster care is a type of system in which a minor is placed in an institution, a group home, or a private home. It is crucial to understand that those families who decide to adopt a child, they receive a compensation. In other words, they receive money in exchange of taking care of a child that has suffered through so many trauma. Prisoners are not business. There should not be the possibility of making money out of traumatized children.
Symptoms of trauma: hyperarousal, constriction, disassociation or denial, hypervigilance, intrusive imagery or flashbacks, nightmares and night terrors, abrupt mood swings, temper tantrums, frequent anger or crying, panic attacks, anxiety and phobias, depression and feelings of impending doom, shame and lack of self-worth, inability to love, nurture, or bond with other individuals. And last but not least, reenactment of the trauma. Trauma doesn't know a color, trauma doesn't know an age, trauma doesn't know a tax bracket, trauma doesn't know any of these things. Anybody can be traumatized, anybody.
Who here has ever felt like if they were not being noticed, appreciated, or even understood? Who here has ever felt like if they did not belong? Who here has ever stopped to acknowledge if they were unworthy? This is the same things that they, the prisoners, question themselves. Every human needs to feel seen, heard, loved, and be even held, especially at the start of an individual's life. During these first years, the brain continues to develop at an increasable speed. Due to this, making children understand that they matter and transmitting to them that they are in this world because they were wanted is of great importance.
Like he said, we wasn't born in the world of being evil people. My mother didn't want me She hid her pregnancy, and she tried to flush me down the toilet. But as I learned about these things, I always asked myself what was wrong with me.
The Compassion Project helps prisoners understand where their behavior comes from. All actions are first triggered by a motive. Their objective is to create awareness about the cruciality of ACEs and teach people how to confront it in order to create a better society. 1 of every 6 adults have experienced ACEs. Fritz Holzman, the founder of this project, experienced it herself. This led her to become a juvenile delinquent and attended several correction facilities until she realized she was going to turn 18 and her next stop was prison. Because of this, she decided to stop and admitted to herself that the cause of her behavior was a cry for attention. Holtzman's self-awareness was the reason she was able to get out of the justice system before it was too late. However, because of the society we live in today and the way prisoners are treated and looked down to, 71.3% of the prisoners who have paid their time and are let go end up being incarcerated again. 25% of the population incarcerated is in the US. Prisons are overcrowded, meaning the people there are being treated as animals. And because of it, even worse, they're starting to act like ones. One of the main purposes of prisons is rehabilitation, but people seem to have forgotten about it. The Compassion Project is what we need in this world. Helping them reach their message to everyone will allow us and our next generations to grow in a better society by decreasing the development of health and social problems in the future. The Compassion Prison Project is a grassroots organization made of people coming together with a common bond and vision, the need for more compassion in the world. Our team consists of a core organization team of volunteers, a small paid staff, a growing board of directors, and powerful partnerships with people who are currently or formerly incarcerated.
Every human has gone through a traumatic experience. That is from losing a person, to being told you're worthless, to being told you're not wanting in this world. Make people go through certain experience that can make them feel certain things. However, some people still go through this experience with help and other people, which make them not feel that lonely. But some people still go through all of those experiences without any help, by being rejected by the society, by being treated as an animal, which, how would that make you feel? How would you feel still apt to be nice to the community? So that's why some people create those type of behavior. That's why certain people don't trust the society and create this criminal behavior. So, and what the systems do, most of the systems, for example in United States, treat them as animals, treat them as without humanity, which make them more criminal, more endangering for the security of the people, and augmenting the rate of recidivism. So this is just, we can see that it's not a good technique. So it's endangering us, it's endangering the community, and if we don't act now, it's gonna be a problem in the future, and it's gonna just make us more separate as a community. And that's not what the Compassion Project is about. That's why we wanna open the heart of people and make them understand how it is important to act now on those compassion projects and be able to see all those people as human, as us, and understand that when we hurt them, we hurt ourselves.
Us, behavioral scientists, have a mission, making changes for the better. Our mission is to be aware, unite, and bring children a better future. We are not forced to live in the past. It is not only about the victims, it's a cycle of violence that we are creating. How are we going to break it?
Us, as students of behavioral and social science, and as a PhD psychologist, being a figure for many students during the university growth, we can understand the consequences and catastrophic conditions these people have experienced during their whole life. As we saw today, childhood trauma brings consequences of external events in our brain, in our bodies, and in our lives. But also, we saw that that's not their identity, but an illness. Inside them, they have beautiful hearts and soul crying for help, to be loved and respected. Their issues are our issues, and these issues are no reason to let them out of the community, because that's not what we do with people who are ill, right? They need people, and they need institutions that re-educate them to be the best of themselves and show their real identity and true spirit. because as we know and you know, they're just the same as us. And today is the day. There's no shame for it. If we, the ones that are the most empathetic and humanistic side of the society, don't step by their side, no one will do it. It's in our hands to create a better world. So please contribute now.
Restore humanity and be able to open to a better future as a family and as a community. Other countries have transformed dysfunctional prisoner systems into effective human systems that render people far less likely to reoffend. This problem is not an impossible one without a solution. If we continue on this path of violence towards prisoners, will likely the parents who relentlessly continue to seek out the gastrointestinal medication and procedures for their child's abdominal pain, where the answer lies in not treating his stomach, but treating his mind.
2,358 people already have taken action with us so far. What are you waiting for? As a startup, non-for-profit CPP, is building our operation budget to reach our ambitious goals. We are looking for heroes to walk alongside us and make our work possible through donations, grants, and underwriting support. We know that these are proven solutions to this problem. People view prisons as a necessary evil. They may well be necessary, but they need not be evil. Our prisons need not to ruin the mental health and the future of so many.
When I come to the circle and I see everybody else and she's reading off the questions and people stepping in further, and I look at my childhood and I'm like, a lot of these people in this yard are just like me.
Our traumas kept us separated. We were all on the circumference, all standing apart. But once we begin to acknowledge our traumas publicly, it brought us all closer together.
In prison, you're not supposed to show your weaknesses in prison, though. But to want to do that, to walk in that circle like that, and to take each step forward was a reminder to ourselves that we still have a humanity and we worthy to be loved, though. Most people on the outside don't understand that we want to change so we can re-enter society better than what we left it.
And I think one of the things that when you was yelling that no shame and you had us yelling it out, it was freeing us too. And it was a point to where when I was looking at that and we was all looking at it in a circle, you can hear that echo, no shame. And that was very powerful, especially coming from a little lady like you.
I'm 76 years old. I've seen a lot. I don't like talking. I like to meet people that understand what's happening without words, and you one of them. Today has been one of the best days I had in my whole entire life since I've been locked up these 40 years.
Your true spirits are not violent. Your true spirits are magnificent.